He's fucking.
Whoa!
Careful, the spider moves.
It's a sensitive spot. I reckon you're gonna end up leaning. You're gonna end up leaning back, and I think that's too far. Do you want to just?
No, I'll just kick here. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
It's good. It's good. All right. We're already on.
All right, we're on.
Start it whenever.
Clearing the throat. Oh fuck! I fucked with this, and now it's fucking doesn't feel right.
It's just about focus, boys. Focus.
No, I think that's fucking us, man. It's about being natty.
We're here to podcast.
We've got to be natty.
Well, that's the focal point. Did you get a good
can't
podcast?
focus on much at the moment. Limited focus.
That's just purgatory right now.
All right, 3, 2, 1. It's all sorry, last time. It's all filming.
Yeah, it's good.
100%. All right. Hey guys, welcome to the Underway podcast. This is episode 1. We are we're going to get an episode out to you guys once a week. You might be thinking why we're doing the Underway podcast. We thought it would be a good idea just to show more of us and who we are and what goes on behind the scenes of running a successful CrossFit gym to our members and to anyone else in the fitness industry or any fans of us online. So yeah. I'm Sam, if you didn't know that already.
I'm Jack.
And I'm Russ.
And today's episode is going to entail basically just us talking about who we are. We're going to hit some 5 little AMRAPs, 5-minute AMRAPs. And then essentially we're going to just talk about how the gym was born, how it was created. So, Russ is going to be up first for his 5-minute AMRAP. Russ, are you ready?
I'm ready, man.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Clock's going in 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
So, me getting into the fitness industry, I guess we've got to go well back to when I was first in school. And growing up, I wouldn't say I was the sportiest kid. I mean, I wasn't a natural athlete, that's for sure. And I played a bit of cricket growing up, which I was probably pretty terrible at. Couldn't really bat very well, but I think I batted last in the batting order or somewhere near there. And then I bowled. I somehow got a bowl every game, but I wouldn't say my bowling was very good, but I got a bowl. So I wasn't going anywhere with that. I played a bit of table tennis. So also probably not the sportiest of the most athletically hard sport to do, but I used to enjoy that as well. And approaching the end of school, as you do as you get a bit older, you sort of start to think about girls a bit, and you sort of start to think about, I need to get into shape. So back then I was probably spending a lot of my spare time playing video games, watching animes, that sort of thing. So I'd finished school and my mate dragged me down to the local kickboxing gym, and we did a trial class down there, and I really got into it and I really loved it. And I ended up doing kickboxing for about 3.5 years, and it's sort of what first ignited my passion for fitness.
Wait, did you ever fight? Sorry, I've never asked you this question.
No. I didn't want to. I think you got to be a little bit screw loose to fight. I got asked to fight a few times. They're like, "Oh, you want to fight?" And I was like, "No."
Do you reckon you're winning?
You would have sparred though.
Yeah, I sparred.
No, but I mean, like, you actually got a walkout song. Russ is walking out. No,
I don't think. I don't know. I wasn't bad, but I don't know if I was going to win any fights.
No.
Who knows?
Let's just assume Russ would have won. Anyway, keep going.
Yeah. So, was doing kickboxing, and at the time after finishing school, I went to study engineering at uni, and I sort of knew straight away that it wasn't really for me. We had all these, really interested people solving problems, and I was like, I just want to pass. I just want to get through. And I'd found that most of my time, instead of reading and studying what I was meant to be studying at uni, was me reading online about fitness and listening to fitness podcasts, and that sort of was what was consuming me my whole way through uni. So after the first year of uni, after failing half of my subjects, I sort of thought, I've got to take a gap year. I'll take a gap year. I'll see if there's something else on the horizon for me. And then at the end of that gap year, I went back to uni to, try to finish my studies. And a few months into that, I said, well, I don't want to be here another day, let alone do another couple of years of this. So I quit uni and I started my PT course. So I started my PT course at VFA Narre Warren. And after doing that for about 12 months, I then got my first gig as a personal trainer at Phoenix Fitness, which is now Good Life. So between me doing my PT course, I sort of discovered CrossFit, and I'd discovered it online, and I'd started doing some weight training in my garage at home with my brother and my mates on top of my kickboxing. And then, that sort of led me to finding CrossFit online. And I actually, was doing a bit of CrossFit at home in the garage, not really knowing what I was doing. And I went and did my first CrossFit session at CrossFit Frankston. So I went down there and, I sort of knew how to work hard, but like doing just the intro session at Frankston, like I felt like I'd never been hit so hard in my life by a workout.
1 minute, Russ, 1 minute.
Like, I was like, oh, I suck at this. I need to do more of this. So that's sort of what drew me to CrossFit initially. And then when I started working, I was only down at Frankston for a month or two. And then I started working in the industry. So I couldn't go back down to do CrossFit there. And I actually joined up doing CrossFit at CrossFit Narre Warren. So I was doing a bit of CrossFit then, and I was now coaching people and talking to people every single day. And that's sort of how I first got into CrossFit coaching. I was doing some classes at Good Life called Russ Fit classes with me and one of my other mates there, Pierre. So yeah, we were that from that, it sort of it led to me starting CrossFit coaching at another gym. So we moved on from Good Life and we got an opportunity to sort of run our own CrossFit box at this new facility that was opening in the area. And it was attached to a 24/7 gym. And that's actually where I ended up meeting Sam, and then later met Jack as well. So
Let's go.
Yeah, I guess, Sammy, do you want to go on from there?
Yeah, sweet. I can go on with it. One thing I feel like is important as well, some members from RussFit, obviously named after Russ over there, are still our members today. Like, how many from RussFit are still here?
Oh, probably 3 or 4, I'd say.
Yeah. You going to name them or what? There's Wendy. Who else is there?
Wendy,
There's Beck
Denise.
Denise.
Denise, Beck.
Yeah.
Beck Calvin.
If we've forgotten anyone, Russ is sorry.
Brooke came from...
Oh, yeah, Brooke.
Brooke came from Good Life.
There you go.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. And the reason why Russ went first as well, if you didn't know, he is actually the oldest. So, Russ, how old are you?
32.
Yeah, Russ is 32. Russ is 32. Well, I'm up next, so I guess I'll tell you how I got into the fitness industry or CrossFit coaching or getting to where I am now. I was sort of the opposite to Russ. I was the sporty kid in school. I played every sport, I guess, or except for Aussie rules. I played soccer, I played basketball, I did swimming, running. I went to all athletics day. I pretty much loved training from a young age, and just from hard work, I got pretty good at everything. I didn't get super good at any one thing. I was just sort of an all rounder I was just above average at all the sports that I played, which sort of led me into just training at the gym. So I started trying to take soccer a little bit seriously, and then I guess I failed. And just like most other failed athletes, they find CrossFit. That's a sort of an inside joke that I do like to say to some people coming into the gym. But I did find CrossFit, and that's how I ended up loving CrossFit, was just for that sporting aspect. So I was training just in a gym, just trying to get big, just trying to get strong. And I started doing powerlifting, which sort of was a little bit of like fixated that sport and that competitive edge for me. But there was only 3 lifts that I had to focus on. When the number one thing that has drawn me to CrossFit is just having so much variety, and anything can be CrossFit. So like my training at the moment even is average, but you can sort of make anything into a CrossFit workout. So I might walk into a gym one day, or yesterday I walked into the gym on a Sunday and I was like, oh, what do I feel like doing? I'm like, oh, I feel like doing bike. And I was like, oh, I did some gymnastics work. So I just made a 20-minute AMRAP of bike and gymnastics. So that's what sort of sparked my love for CrossFit and my getting me to this position. I also did go to uni and I did study sport and exercise science, which the intention of that was sort of to be a PE teacher. That's sort of where I was going down that route. But yeah, my love for training and lifting weights got me into the point where I wanted to help other people train and lift weights correctly, which led me to being a PT, which led me to coaching CrossFit, which led me to meeting these boys. And yeah, that's pretty much my story and how I got into coaching people.
There you go. Nice, man. I suppose I'll tell my story now. Essentially, I began, just training at home. In a gym that my dad had created, and I always watched him training growing up. And I think back to it now, and I had another fitness influence early on. It was like I just had a neighbor that was like really into running. Would always go running. Would like invite me to go. And I remember I just used to go and do this like 5K lake run with him, and I just hate it. I just like my cardio was like so bad, and they always used to just like make fun of us because like we'd always just sort of be like just or dad would be hanging out in the weights room and I'd be smacking weights with him at home. But then essentially like I was doing like trampolining and I was like a state trampolinist, so I had a bit of a gymnastic background. And then I did MMA for like 3 years, and this is all in the midst of like 8 years old to about 14 years old. And then at some point I think I might have had a minor injury trampolining, or I didn't get graded in MMA, and my two cousins did. And that just pissed me off. And like being a 14-year-old, like I look back at it now, I should have stuck with it. But at that time I decided not to. Even though I loved MMA and would still go back and do it now. I think about it a lot. But yeah, and then essentially I was just sort of just not doing too much at home. I was doing some footy umpiring for cash on the weekend, was sort of building a bit of cardio base there. And then my mum brought home this like 2-for-1 deal at like the local CrossFit gym. And I'd never even heard of CrossFit. And I was like, what's this? I don't know. I'll just mum happened to be a bit overweight at the time. And I was like, well, and so that's why she wanted to do it. And I was like, yeah, I'll come down and just be a bit of motivation for you, so you don't have to do it by yourself. I didn't have a huge interest. And then it just changed, like from her dragging me to the gym at 7:00 on Saturday mornings to me dragging her to like out of bed, being like, come on, mum, let's go. Like I want to go to CrossFit. And then, I just sort of like that, like it was like the CrossFit Open rolled around, and that was like the 2014 CrossFit Open. And I was like 14 years old, and I had a crack at like the RX division. This is before there was the teenage division. Obviously I was 14. And yeah, just loved it. Just loved the competitiveness of it. I loved that like you showed up and it was different every single day. I love the variation of it. I never got bored. Like I'm someone that can, get bored pretty easily. So I just love coming and doing something different and competing with my mates every day. It's very social too. So it was a good social outlet for me. But yeah, and then essentially like it just kicked on. Like I did the Open the next year. Like they introduced the teenage division, and I competed in the teenage division for CrossFit, and I did pretty well. Like I placed like 15th in the world or something like that. And that was the year they were only taking 10 to the games. And so I was like, oh, damn, I almost had a taste of like getting close to that. So I felt like if I trained really hard, I'd be able to, be competitive in CrossFit. And in saying that, I was like a 17-year-old snatching, like I snatched 100 kilo off the blocks. I was actually talking to Dean this morning. He snatched 100 kilo for the first time this morning at the gym, but I snatched 100 kilo off the blocks at 17. And so I had some sort of natural ability for weightlifting and CrossFit, and would still like to do some competing in weightlifting. Should have done back then. But and so after just competing a couple of times in CrossFit and doing the local comps, like I just became addicted to it because it was just like it was such a rush and such a thrill, and I loved just the thought of improving myself and getting better. and seeing that and tracking that, through getting better comp placements and seeing my weightlifting numbers go up and seeing my Fran time go down. And I just really like that about CrossFit, how measurable it was and is. And then essentially, I decided that I wanted to coach. So I started coaching at my original CrossFit gym. I know I was going to, and then I met Sam at my CrossFit level 1. And so we just got chatting. He said, "Oh, there's a job out at the gym that we work at." And I said, "Sweet, I'll come through." And then I showed up, and Russ was there. And then he just was like fully telling me how to coach, like, which blew my brain at the time. So like, it was a level of coaching that I wasn't used to, and I thought that was really awesome. And then it just like upped a level in the way that I wanted to be a good coach in CrossFit too. Like I built my passion for that through meeting these boys. So yeah, and then essentially, we decided that we wanted to create a gym, and here we are. But that's me. That's my story. So we're just going to talk about how the gym was born and how Underway came about now. So I mean, Russ, you want to kick off on that?
Like Jack was just saying, I think that coaching in CrossFit, a lot of people underestimate it, and I guess 10 years ago, probably the standard of coaching was a lot worse than it is nowadays. So
definitely,
like when
well, it got flooded, just like any industry. CrossFit was starting to boom, and then everyone wanted to do it, and everyone wanted to start gyms, and then
there was a lot of questionable CrossFit gyms out there where the people had done the level 1, like I'm not sure if but the level 1 course to be a CrossFit trainer is a 1 weekend. So you do 2 days, and then essentially you can step into a CrossFit gym and train CrossFit. And we're talking about movements. We're talking about complex movements like Olympic weightlifting, like high skill gymnastics, and dealing with dealing with heavy loads and dealing with explosive movements that can be quite dangerous if they're not performed correctly. So I think that that's where at one stage CrossFit had this really bad rap, and there's like probably a lot of meme videos that circulated online of people
that are still referenced to this day.
Any stupid stuff in the gym is basically like, oh, that was CrossFit. Like these guys must be CrossFitters, because it's just so ridiculous. And I think nowadays that has completely changed, and that you'll find that any CrossFit gyms that's operating today, the level of coaching is much, it's probably better, and probably better than most PTs in your conventional 24/7 gyms, because there's so much to, like Jack said before, there's so much to learn when it comes to CrossFit, that I think you've got to have a little bit of a passion for learning and a passion for, trying to master these abilities, that because you've spent so much time sort of learning and trying to develop your skills in these things, that you're actually probably more knowledgeable than your regular trainer that's just at a 24/7 gym. Who's done a PT course, and PT courses go for 6 to 12 months. But I don't know about you, but I didn't learn really anything to do with good quality training from my PT course.
Sammy did his in a weekend.
Yeah. I did all my content in a weekend. But yeah, that just shows. But nowadays, I think there's CrossFit gyms closing down left, right, and center, and I think only the good ones are lasting. So that's something we should obviously be proud of, because we made it through COVID, which was pretty crazy. But yeah, we've gone a little bit off topic here, but just sort of back to how we opened Underway, or how it sort of started. It's actually, I find it such an interesting story, and every time I tell it to people just, they love it. So that's why we thought episode 1, let's do it. But if you didn't know, Russ and I just started training together at a gym, and Russ just approached me. I don't know, he just saw me training, I think. You can confirm. And then you just approached me to train with you.
Yeah, I think I was the guy I was working with at the time. He was going through some stuff, and he was sort of like my training partner. So I was out, like I didn't have a training partner, and if you ever training on your own sucks.
Yeah,
no one wants to train on your own.
That's why Russ does love CrossFit as well. He just likes doing classes with people.
Yeah, and I saw Sammy, and he was working at the same gym as I was, and I sort of thought, I need someone. He looks like he can work hard.
I used to work hard back then.
And I'll approach him and see if he wants to train together. So, between our clients and whatnot, I was doing the CrossFit classes at the time. So yeah, that's sort of where I think I introduced myself to him, and then we started doing some powerlifting together.
Well, you started coaching me. You sort of offered to train with me, and then next minute you're coaching me and changing my lifts, which obviously I was thankful for, and I obviously wanted to get better, because back then I was obsessed. I literally used to watch YouTube.
Yeah, well, Sam,
1 to 10. I've seen every fitness YouTube video probably ever made.
Yeah, Sam was a pretty exceptional athlete, and I think he was lifting heavier than me. Pretty much in all of his lifts. Not many people can say that they've squatted 200 plus kilos, especially at I think you're like 66 kilos body weight.
Yeah.
So I was like at the time, that's like, he was very competitive in the sport of powerlifting. So when I first met Sam, I saw what potential he had if he, gave it a red hot crack. And I was obviously, right into coaching, and I was studying under someone. I had a mentor at the time. So, I was like, all right, I reckon this guy can go places with some powerlifting. So me and him, we sort of trained together. And we would like, when it came to volume, I could keep up with Sam, and then as soon as the reps started going down and the weights started going up, I just
he was squatting the same for 10 reps.
He would still explosively stand the weight up, and here's me like now grinding these reps out. So like, I think that's just probably genetics at some point, but
Well, so we started training together, and then it ended up being to Russ asking me to coach with him, because he was coaching every class due to whatever. He just ended up coaching every class, so he just needed someone to help cover. And I'd never actually done a CrossFit class or even thought about it, I don't think, at that stage. That was deep in that powerlifting. That was like a good 6 months of my life where every thought was towards powerlifting. So he asked me to do it, and I was like, well, like, why? And then Russ was like, oh, we get paid. And I was like, I was young, so obviously wanted to earn. So I wanted to earn more money, and so I started coaching CrossFit for the money, because it was like, it was good, and it was guaranteed classes each week. It was guaranteed money each week, and then me coaching classes eventuated into me going, oh, this looks fun. Let's jump into a class here or there, and then all of a sudden I was just doing it, and I was in. So to actually, as Russ mentioned before, to actually coach legally, you need to go do your CrossFit Level 1 qualification. So that was the next step. So I got sent to my Level 1 course, and then I'm an early person. I was sitting there for half an hour before the course started, and then Jack came. This young kid, Jack, came busting in, and then
probably rolled in at 9:02.
Busting in with his school backpack, and just sat next to me, and he's just like, hey man, just as Jack does. This is like, hey, I'm Jack, and I was just like, I'm Sam. And then it turned out that he was training at the gym that was next to where we were working, and we just did our CrossFit level 1 together, which I guess Jack could sort of talk about that level 1, and then how he's you sort of mentioned it already, didn't you?
Yeah, well, I mean, we just sort of got to know each other over the weekend, literally just sitting next to each other, just chatting over the movements, talking about how we're going to pass each little test and things like that.
Yeah.
And
I drove you to Subway.
Yeah, went and smacked a Subway. Yeah, that's wow, that was the OG Subway, first Subway. And then we just from there literally just decided that I would take Sam up on the idea to go and suss out some coaching, and then like I said before, I met Russ, and then we just all started working together.
Yeah. That's exactly what happened. So I obviously brought up that we were next door, and then I sort of saw how good Jack was as an athlete. And then, I don't know, I think I had a business mind, but I wasn't aware of it. And I started to realize, oh shit, this guy working for us would be unbelievable. This is what we need to get to the next level. And I mentioned to Jack, I just took a risk. I was like, bro, this is a job for you. I don't even think there was at the time.
Not there's going to be.
And then obviously the course finished, whatever. I just told him. And then I came back and I told Russ, hey, I met this kid that's a freak, and blah blah blah. I sold Russ. Russ pretty much says yes to anything. Anyway, if you just talk to him enough about it, he will eventually say yes. And he's like, "Yep, I want to meet him or whatever." And then it just so happened that Jack just sort of walked through the door. I was coaching a Friday night, and I just saw this kid pop his head through, and I was like mid warm up or strength work or something, and I turn around and it's Jack from the class. He's like, "Hey man, I want to take you up on that coaching offer," and I was like, "Yeah, no worries. I'll get back to you." And then that's when it all sort of happened. And as Jack said, that he came in and met Russ, and then Russ just Russified him and just did like a sort of coach's development with him. Another crucial part of the story, so obviously we all started working together. Another crucial part of the story was Russ's best mate, Brendan. So Russ is probably better at telling this part of the story because he was best mates. I was just sort of getting to know Brendan at that point in time, but Russ's best mate, Brendan, just sort of got involved and approached us and said, "Hey, you boys should start doing your own thing." Is that what happened?
Yeah, well, actually, Brendan, I actually met Brendan. He was actually somebody else who I met at Good Life. So I remember actually the day I met him because I was training in the squat racks, and then there was just this bloke next to me, and I could tell he had no idea what he was doing whatsoever.
He's gonna hate that you said that.
Well, it was true. So I was like, this guy had.
So it wasn't a kickstart.
No, well, I think at that point he hadn't done his Kickstarter sessions yet. So I sort of approached him and said, "Hey man, do you need some help? It looks like you need some help."
And just quickly, Kickstarts are like a free session you get with a PT. So a PT tries to sell you their service and makes money. Yeah, that's what Kickstarter is.
Yeah, but. So I sort of approached him and said, "Oh, do you need some help?" He said, "Oh, have you done your Kickstart sessions? Have you been booked in for him?" He said, "Oh, no, I haven't done." And I said, "Oh, well, do you want to make a time and I'll, teach you how to do this?" I think he was trying to do some squats or what was meant to be a squat. So like he told me, and like most people, he's like, "I just got this program online. I thought I can do it. So here I am doing it." So anyway, that's how I met him, and he was still training with it. And then he got into CrossFit, and then he was, coming to the gym regularly.
Wait, was he a RussFit member?
Yeah, he would have been. Yeah. Yep.
That's sick.
Yeah, he was. And we had a pretty good community there. So like I've still got, a lot of good friends from Good Life that I still are close with today. But yeah, Brendan, he was coming to this other gym we were working at, and
no, hold on. You started living with Brendan. Is that true?
Yeah. Well,
Russ is skipping.
I had a bed at his house.
Russ is skipping important points here. You started PTing him, and then he invited you. Wait, who invited you to live?
Well, I don't know. It was my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife. She lived down in Berwick, and then just so happens to be Brendan's like, "Oh, I bought this house. It's across the road from Gail's house." I'm like, "Oh, sweet." Well, I was like, I was living on my.
That's so true. That's why you moved out
at the time, renting with somebody, and I was like, "Oh, well, I'll just move in with you." And you've got this new place. You got all these bedrooms.
Were you paying rent? Were you paying rent still?
To Brendan?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think so. Because
so you just had a bed.
I had a bed. I think I slept in that bed like less than 10 times because.
Over how long?
Oh, like 3 years.
This is across the road.
Yeah, so I would just hang out at Brennan's house, and I was like, "Oh well, I'm gonna go to bed. I'll just go over the road and I'll sleep at Gail's place."
Do you know?
Like, I'm not gonna sleep in.
Do you know what's funny too? If you hear Brendan talk about this story, and Brendan always says that Russ just used to leave all his dishes, and so Russ, even though Russ was technically living there, he would just go eat lunch, eat all his food, leave it all there, and then go stay at Gail's house, and then Brendan had to still clean it up. But yeah, so back to where we were going. Brent, that Russ's best mate who he used to live with, who he used to train, he is just business minded and works in IT and is very successful. And he sort of was just as Russ's best mate, just wanted what's best for him, and which was obviously the next step to starting a business. Russ and I had spoken about it. We've gone to many meetings and just did like an expenses list. Didn't we just like decide on how many dumbbells for like an hour? Every single time we just sort of calculated how much money we sort of needed to start this business, and then we didn't sort of really know where to go from there. anyways, it got to the point where Brendan was doing pretty well in life, and he's like, "Nah, boys, you're doing it. Like, I'm helping you, I'm getting involved." And if you didn't know already, Brendan was the fourth owner of the gym. So he did start, and he was an owner, and then he eventually sold to us. When was that? A year later, something like that. So without Brendan, we probably wouldn't be here today. And maybe one episode we can get Brendan on if we get enough people wanting if we get enough people wanting it. But yeah, so Brendan took us to lunch, and he's like, "Boys, like, let's do it. This is how to do it." He had a whole plan pretty much written out. And then I don't know if Jack knows this or not. We were sort of deciding what we were doing with Jack, because we had Jack as like a little prodigy that was sort of, we were paying cash to coach for us. And then Brendan's like, "Nah, let's get him involved so he doesn't go anywhere else." That's pretty much what happened. And then we're obviously all best mates now, so it doesn't matter. But at the time, we were just sort of assessing whether Jack was going to come work for us or if he was going to be an owner. And then we all decided that, nah, we want Jack to be an owner. And then Jack was brought to the next meeting.
Which was sick. Which I was like, Jack's entered the chat. But I was surprised. I was actually surprised when you guys approached me. I'm like, oh, like, why do you want me to be part of this? And then, and then you're like, no, you need. I remember Russ was like, no, you need to have shares. Like, you need to be an owner. And I'm like, oh, look, man, I really want to be an athlete. I remember I said no. I was like, I remember I said no to Russ. I was like, look, man, being an athlete is what I want to do. It's what I've been working hard towards all this time. And I just know that, like, being a business owner is going to slow that down. And Russ just didn't give me an option. I just didn't get a chance. I didn't get the option. So
I was looking out for you, mate. I was looking out for you.
100%.
What did your mum say? Did you ask your mum's opinion?
Yeah, and I remember I went and competed at ACC, and we knew that we were going to open a gym. And then I come home, and like, it was like I left it right to the last second to tell my mum. And then, like, I just come home. I come home with like the sign and whatever, and she was like, "Oh, how'd you go?" And then I'm still talking about ACC, and I'm like, "Yeah." So and anyways, like, we're opening a gym, and she's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we're opening a gym. Like, me, Russ, Sam."
Oh, wait,
Brennan.
we planned the whole. Oh, yeah.
And then she's like, "When?" I'm like, "Next week." I'm like, "Next week we open." And she's like, jaw hit the floor. She's like, because I have a good relationship with my mum. I tell her a lot. And she was just like, "What? Like, how? Like, I can't believe you kept this from me." But yeah, and then we just kept charging, and we'd been planning it, and been looking for a location and talking about a name, and the name's a bit of a funny story because I wasn't on the name either.
Yeah.
I was like a no.
I'm not sure
how did you guys come to the name?
Well, the name, I'm not sure if you guys know what it's like running a business with 4 people at the time, especially in the early days. Everyone wants to be a part of everything.
Mad discussion.
Like, we wasted so much time deciding on things. Oh no, they did matter. Those things mattered, but some things obviously didn't matter that much. But we all just wanted to be there, which sort of, yeah. Anyways, but that's a lesson we've learned, that we all don't need to be there for everything now. But back when we were deciding the name, I think we tried. Yeah, so when you go for your CrossFit affiliation, you obviously can't have the same name as someone. And we had like we had like 2 meetings, maybe 4 meetings.
Yeah. Well, every single name that you think, oh, surely there's not a CrossFit name with this name. Sure, there's no one that's got this name yet. Bang, it's gone. Anything that's straight off the top of your head is like already taken. And there's some ridiculous names that you would think that there's not a CrossFit gym called this. Surely we're going to.
And sometimes there was just some weird rules, like you just can't have this word. And obviously, you can't have swear words or whatever. But there was just some weird rules. I think you can just go online and try. Go try find a better CrossFit name than Underway.
I remember being super challenged. We were boggled. Our brains were just. We didn't know what we were going to go with. We were just like charging on with the mission without a name. At that point.
Yeah, we all wanted to agree on this because this was the early days. It's obviously very important. Now we like vote, and like if you get outvoted, too bad. But back then we all wanted to agree, all wanted to make sure we loved it, and to this day I think we can all say we loved it. But what happened was, it was like meeting number 4. We had like some things. Brendan had some weird ass names that he liked. Because I remember there was a third name we were deciding on. There was it was something aggressive. It was something aggressive. I can't remember.
I feel like elevation or
Yeah, it was something. It was something like.
I think I don't know.
It was something. It was something on
Levels.
Oh, it was levels. It wasn't
Yeah.
aggressive. Sorry, I take that back.
Levels by Avicii was going to be our thing.
Yeah, so we had CrossFit levels. Then I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of levels for some reason, and
We were talking about this system where it was going to be like black belts and like brown, like, but it was like a CrossFit thing, and like, so like if you're beginning, then you'd like get your white belt, and like we were going to like make this whole new sort of system, and we had great ideas. And
yeah, we just wanted to get everyone involved. We just sort of wanted to get rid of that was the whole levels theory. But then we decided on like going with like our name, so we wanted to call it at the time our trust name, which you guys might see if you're a member of us. I think that the trust debits the money out of your account, but it's called Brick Strength. And that was just like our initials. So it was like, well, Brendan was B, Russ was R,
C was Clark, and K was Kane.
Okay, so it was just all an initial from our name thrown together, and it was Brick without an I guess. So that was going to be the name. It was going to be CrossFit Brick or Brick CrossFit or whatever. And then we just one day Jack just had to go home from a meeting. On the fourth meeting, he was driving home, and then Brendan said, like, all right, let's get underway. I don't know what it was about. It was about something else. And I remember my eyes just lit up, and I was like, CrossFit Underway. That's what I said. And then
claimed it. Just claimed it.
I just remember saying it, and then you liked it. I remember you liked it.
Yeah.
And then Brendan wasn't that on board at the time. And then me and Russ just kept freaking saying it. Underway. And then Brendan's like, it sounds like underwear or something like that. That was his rebuttal to that. Anyways, we got Brendan on board, and then Brendan's good at selling anything. He called Jack because Jack was driving home and was like, we've got it, CrossFit Underway. And Jack just didn't respond well at all.
I was a hard no. I was a boys, back to the drawing board. I was like, what are we thinking? And you guys have just been in this meeting for 2 hours. You need to go have a coffee, go have a break.
I was so passionate about it. I was like, nah, this is it. I felt like that was it. And then we just kept saying it. And then, I don't know, you can obviously comment on your thoughts in your head, but...
I was happy to move forward.
You just had enough.
And I think by the time we'd like just continued to say it, and like all was like they were saying it, they were saying underway, and then all of a sudden I was saying underway, and I'm like, if we call it underway, like that was sort of the first stance, and then it was just underway, and that's what we got to. So yeah, that's how we came across the name and how we got to there.
Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about the startup? Oh, maybe actually, you know what's important too? We weren't actually going to go in Berwick, and I'm so glad
I'm so happy. Hallam, we're looking at Pakenham. Like the location was hard to get.
Yeah, well, back then there was like Berwick. I don't know if you've been to Berwick, there's 1,000 gyms in that street, and just as Brendan being business minded, it's like, why would you go to where there's 1,000 gyms in a street? Why shouldn't we go somewhere else to sort of try and take over? And so we were, as Jack said, we were looking at Hallam. Russ wanted to go somewhere in Officer. We'll wait for this factory in Officer. Who knows? That still might happen because I haven't built it yet. We'd still be waiting. Pakenham. We're just sort of looking everywhere. We looked at a place in Beaconsfield, or was that Officer? That mechanic joint?
Oh, that was in Officer.
Yeah. We looked at all these different places, and then this factory came up, and then. I think I hated it when I walked in. Me and Jack hated it. Actually, we all hated it because we walked. Yeah, because no, because I don't know. We all hated it because when we walked in, it was disgusting. It was they were cabinet makers, and they had like a half showroom, and then like there was just shit everywhere, sawdust everywhere. So
it was going to be a big job to get it going, to launch a gym in there. Like we had to demo pretty much everything that was already there. Heaps of shit had to be taken out. There was like cable work had to be done. It was dirty. It was real dirty.
and one thing that Jack couldn't get over was the ceilings are low.
And the ceilings are low because the rope climbs, man.
Jack's like, we can never freaking rope climb here. We can't do it.
I think it's 15 foot if you touch the roof. That's what Muzz worked out.
Yeah.
Anyways.
And then Brendan being Brendan was like, boys, shut the fuck up.
Location.
Yeah, he's like, we're in Berwick. there's dollars, there's fitness. Like, we're going to gut this place. It will be fine. He's like, well, Brendan's mate was buying us the factory at the time. So his mate was going to buy it anyway. So he bought it. So we had the option. And then, like, when did we decide we were going to take it? Was it just the next day?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I think we jumped on it. I'm not sure what happened.
I think Brendan definitely convinced us. It's like, we're going to take everything out. It's going to be fine. I think we just went on Google and then just did like a gym maker and just made a little fit, made it work. And so then we got the factory and it was a long process.
But it was an auction. Like, we weren't sure if we were going to get it.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And then like, because it was to buy, like, it wasn't to rent. And we weren't looking to buy. We were looking to just rent a space.
Mm.
One of our goals is to buy a space, but we just wanted to rent. So one of Brennan's mates, who we've become friends with now, and he was just like, I'm looking to invest in like a factory in Berwick, and like, as you do, he was like, I'll show up to the auction. So we went to the auction and like, boom, he had it.
Yeah.
It was like, bang, we've got.
I don't think he did not want to leave without it. He wanted it. It was like a competition to him.
Yeah.
But yeah, he got it. He said, with or without you guys, I'm getting this factory, because he wanted it.
Yeah.
So yeah, then we decided, we jumped on it, we got in there, and then Russ's dad had was a builder, and was he retired?
Yeah, he's retired. Yeah,
and then he
retired. He loves I don't know. He loves doing some project. So he wasn't hard to get involved in. Obviously, he was a big part of making the gym what it is today, making it look as good as it does. Obviously, there was a lot of work to get from doors open to where it started when it was a cabinet making kitchen facility. So he spent a good 6 months, and we were there helping him out, and then my brother helped out a bit. He's also a chippy, so it's good to know some people with some trade skills, especially when you open your own gym.
Yeah. Well, that's true. They were just our friends and our family that's helped create the space. One thing we're also proud of as well, if you didn't know, when we opened the gym doors, I thought it was 70, but Jack's saying we opened with 100 members.
Pre-sale.
Yeah, pre-sale. We sold 100.
I still don't believe that.
No, I think he's right. I thought about it. I'm at home. I went and thought about it at night, and I was like, nah, maybe it was 100.
It was Waterfire at the time. It was Waterfire, and we created that foundation membership, and we just pumped it online, and I was like, I remember I was like, I made the call early. And I said, yeah, we're going to get 100. And then I remember it was like the week before, and we're at like 80. I'm like, just trying to get it over the line to get that 100 before we started, because that's just like the big thing, starting a business. Like, I didn't actually realize at the time, but more so now, a little bit older, being 20 years old back then. But I was like, yeah, to have 100 on the start line, we were like, okay, we can breathe. There was a bit of breathing room to be able to do what we love. So, but yeah, that was pretty sick.
Yeah.
That was pretty sick to
cut the bit of tape we had. We had a opening ceremony.
Oh yeah, now open day.
Yeah, we had an open day. Cut some tape. Doors are open, and bang, we were starting classes.
One thing I just actually realized: how the hell did we create that much traction? Now that I'm thinking about it, because if a CrossFit gym open these days, there's no way you can't just put a foundation membership on. We don't have any marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, we didn't have. Did we? Just our personal Instagrams.
Yeah.
Russ has been
like you said, we both had at the time, we both had PT businesses, and we probably had like contact with 30 people, 30 clients each.
Yeah,
and a lot of them were
just people we trained in the past. But no, there was not even. There was heaps of people that came from other gyms that we'd never met.
Oh right,
there was just a lot of.
I think that there was like people just were looking for a good CrossFit gym, and they just didn't exist nearby.
Yeah,
and like
we were just like, on
this is gonna be a good gym.
The word spread like wildfire.
Well, we had Jack Clark, it wasn't hard. We just said, Jack
yeah, but
Clark,
I don't.
I think we all had like a few.
You were big locally back then, though.
Between us, like I think we.
Yeah,
people just found out like, oh, Sam's running gyms. People that you knew, people that I knew, like Jackson, Russ knew. So I just think we just culminated some people, and then there was just a bit of just a bandwagon, a bit of a hype wagon that started.
I think
so.
Jack was just approaching people in the shop to start a gym, as he does. He's right talking.
I was on the phone 24/7, boys.
But yeah, it's crazy. I just literally had that thought then. I was like, holy crap! If we opened a gym now, it'd probably open up with 20 members. And somehow we opened up with 100. And
timing was a bit of a huge thing. I think like you just nail that.
We were on that wave of when CrossFit was booming. It's still booming now. I guess.
think it's bigger than ever now.
There's CrossFit gyms closing down every left, right, and center.
Oh yeah, but I mean, like, I think we were probably past that wave of like CrossFit gyms, and people had done CrossFit.
This was before F45 though, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't think F45 was a thing.
Yeah, because I remember people were like, obviously F45 sort of cut like a middleman. I guess they cut just before.
Like group training in the past,
we were 4 years ago. F45 wasn't it?
Like
was it
doing the only group training you had access to was Les Mills stuff, body pump.
Yeah, that's
sort of thing.
Yeah,
or
CrossFit was like sort of the first
like mixed martial arts, but there wasn't really any group fitness like that was resistance training related and fitness related. So a lot of people probably were turned off by going to train for some sort of boxing gym or fighting gym. And then, like average people going to the regular gym, you see the need for like good group fitness was there, and like CrossFit filled that.
Yeah.
And then, but I think also because it boomed so quick, a lot of people got initially may have had bad experiences, or and may never try it again just because of that. But I think that really CrossFit is because it's so broad. Like depending on where you go, you're going to get something completely different to the next CrossFit gym. That's like the next suburb along. They might be doing something completely different.
Yeah,
they might be.
And like that's one thing we sort of pride ourselves on. We wanted to do our version of CrossFit, which was. Now a lot of people do a heap of strength, but you could probably comment more going to a lot of CrossFit gyms. But like we do significantly more strength work than you would say most. That's fair. Yeah. So we just sort of prided ourselves on our strength, and I think we just appealed to that to people wanting to get stronger.
But there already was a CrossFit gym in Berwick. There was a gym down the road from us, but I think the difference with us from them was that they didn't specialize in CrossFit.
Yeah.
The one thing I would tell people is I'm like, we're going to be full noise CrossFit. We're doing 7 classes a day. They're all going to be CrossFit. We do CrossFit. Whereas, I think that was the difference. And we're the only like full noise CrossFit gym in Berwick. And, there's 200,000 plus people in Berwick. And
Just a deep question while we're on the topic. What would you change anything the way we started?
Roof height.
What?
Roof height. Height of the roof.
I don't think I would change anything.
No, I wouldn't change.
Maybe just be more organized.
Think about if the roofs are higher, A, ropes, right? But B, massage therapist upstairs / cafe.
That's actually that's the only thing is if we had more spaces for rent.
That would ignite our business. That would be great.
Yeah, I mean, we've got that mezzanine that there's the potential to do that. It's just that there's a lot of work. I don't know. There's probably a lot of hoops you got to jump through. With
one room pays for itself. Get another room, bang, pays for itself.
Yeah, that's the only. We
just need a roof extension. Anyone out there does roofs?
We've been rolling for almost 50 minutes. I think we've got to wrap this one up, and then So, is there any final remarks?
I'll do some final remarks. Yeah. Look, I just want to say that I'm super excited for where this podcast will take us, as a team, as business owners. We've really developed since day dot. We were 4 man strong, and now we're 3. And it's owning business is hard at times. There's ups, there's downs, but I think this is just a sick platform for just us to communicate. But also I'm just pumped to just connect with our members and our community further. I know there's a few people that get behind the Underway Army up at Torian. We had 85 folks, 85 of our members that rolled up to the Oceania Champs last year. And I know that a few people like that caught the eye of people, and we just want to be able to connect with you guys and talk to you more about what we're doing at Underway and what's going on with us. So that's all I'd say. Just I'm really excited going forward.
Yeah, that is a very good point. One thing we were sort of deciding on, and one point I wanted to make is I didn't want our podcast to be too guest heavy. So obviously we might get some guests on here that you might like to hear from, but we wanted to sort of focus on ourselves and our coaches. We've got how many coaches? 5? 4? We got a lot of coaches. Yeah, we got a lot of coaches, but we just wanted to bring Underway to the world and to the CrossFit world, and here we are.
I mean, I just got to wrap up because we haven't talked about it at all, and it is the CrossFit Open. We've just done the CrossFit Open workout one, and like it is such a fun, rewarding experience, the Open, because sort of you've got people that or like that's sort of their biggest event of the year for most people who are training in the CrossFit gym. Is like, right, it's the Open. Everyone's doing it. The fact that everyone gets involved in it, it's so much fun, and I think it. Being a coach or even, being a member and experiencing that, it's just a good time of the year. So
it was fun. It was exhausting though, coaching that many heats.
Yeah, I mean, it's tiring, but like it's also it's rewarding.
People are very high energy.
People.
And I think
Saturday was great. The only thing I think we could do better is, I reckon we'll create. Sorry, it's good for you guys to hear this thing. We're always thinking about how to make Underway better, but definitely. Maybe we'll get people to put their names down early and then assign the heats earlier rather than that whiteboard method. Anyways, off topic. Continue.
Yeah, anyway, excited for the next couple of weeks. I reckon people are going to be training harder than ever the next few weeks, just off the back of how much they enjoyed the first workout. So, and if you didn't get any muscle-ups, then you're going to make sure you've got them by next year.
Well, there might be some people that don't know what the CrossFit Open is. So the CrossFit Open is... our sport has the largest participatory sporting event in the world. So I think there's like 400,000 people that sign up for this one competition that happens annually. Anyone in the CrossFit community, anyone in the world can essentially sign up. You just need to meet the movement standards and have the required equipment. But there's 3 workouts over 3 weeks. There's times and standards you have to meet in submitting your score, and the top scores need to be videoed, and that's essentially the starting qualification process to be a competitive athlete at the CrossFit Games. But I just wanted to just touch on what it was. But I'm really excited for the for Open Week 2. Like that, the vibes I made that post in the Facebook group, but the vibes at Underway on Saturday morning were banging. They were they were high.
It was good.
It was like everyone was just like psyched. Like it was really cool to just be a part of it.
It was actually lucky that Friday was like 40 degrees. No one came. Then everyone came Saturday.
Yeah.
And so, actually, wasn't there still a lot of people that did it?
Friday morning, yes. Friday night, not really.
Yeah.
Like
I know
it was pretty.
Lucas O'Brien.
It was pretty disgusing Friday afternoon.
Well, we did consider shutting it. Well, not doing it, but I was like, people planned to do it.
Yeah,
sweet.
Didn't want to take it away.
Anyway, let's go.
Is that a wrap?
Yeah, we're off. Well,
episode 1 in the books.
Thanks for listening, guys. You got this far. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Cheers.
All right, we'll see you hopefully next week.
Latest.